Good morning. Hey, all right. Underclassmen again. Seniors, you're gone. You don't have to have this, right? It's not on your final. Here we go. Everybody else, you're gonna love this. This is good stuff. Temperature controls. If you just try and Google temperature control right now, you're gonna get all sorts of smart thermostat and then uh, automated ventilation and self-closing blinds and shades and weird new modern. No. Temperature control is much simpler. It's older than that. Let's not use the industrial version. Let's use the scientific version. Any factor, any factor that causes the temperature vary from place to place, time to time, whatever it is. Latitude. We know latitude does. The poles are cold and the equator's warm. We know that because the Earth's tilted at 23.5 degrees, right? Latitude, heating of the land and the water, altitude, geographic position, weather, cloud cover, ocean current, not weather, weather was bad. Weather, all of those things are temperature controls because they change the temperature. You're going to see they affect what's going on. We're going to start old fashioned here. We're going way back. This does say 1891 on there. Isotherm or isothermal. Okay. Iso, same, right? Therm, temperature. So isothermal. This is some of the first isotherms that were made. In fact, I've got a Library of Congress picture coming up that was going to be with some of the early isotherms. And this is how the Earth used to be viewed. Torrid, temperate, and frigid. There's only 3 temperatures on this guy's map. He has Antarctic Ocean. He doesn't really have any land down there for Antarctica. All right. Alaska is fine. Look, Scandinavia. There's some north of Scandinavia that's still temperate. Torrid. It's too hot to do much of anything, right? This is an old one. By the way, these are also physical zones, okay? Is where the boundaries are. These other lines are really the isotherms. This is an old one. This is more about the physical zones. Let's go to a better one here. 1899. So much more modern, right? 8 years more modern. Mean annual isotherm. It's important to know what they're talking about. The last one was about just classifying the zones and the 3 colors. This is it. If the average annual temperature in a location is blank, then it's green. And you follow the green all the way across. Right? If the average annual temperature is in the yellow here, you go across in the yellow and you follow that up and over. Orange would be the same. And they highlight the northern extreme on these. Or I'm sorry, the exterior extreme. Here it's the southern extreme. And here's the green southern extreme. Again, you see some of the features where Baja is warm, and you've got the southeastern coast, and then you've got moving up. Australia, it's just, these are isotherms. We're not going to get into crazy detail. I do want to show you isotherms July. So instead of taking the average temperature for a spot, eventually what came into fashion, what more people started doing was say, hey, let's pick one time. Let's just pick, because some places are super cold in the winter and super hot in the summer. So if I just average their temperature over the year, it's just kind of blah. And you can't tell that apart from a lot of places. So let's pick 1 month where the temperature is crazy, right? If you're in the northern hemisphere, it's going to be very hot. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be very cold. So we're going to pick July, and then we're going to do the average temperature over July, and then we're going to look at that. And so that is what this map gets into. And now we're starting to see more detail. Southern hemisphere is going to look significantly colder because it's winter. Now we're seeing a little bit of Antarctica. My picture is covering up Australia there, okay? Because Australia is not a cold place, but it's in this green because it's winter in July in Australia. All right, here we go. Library of Congress, some of the first isotherms of the world, 18 and 45. That's earlier than the one we did. We showed, again, there's some more. Here it is. There it is. There's a picture of the first isotherms, not in English, by the way. So, system de isotherm, right? Mercator projection. All right. It's just something to look at. I do want to show you one more here. This is a specific day. Isotherms are still used in weather maps because here, everywhere in this band is going to be the same little temperature. Everywhere in this band is going to be the same for temperature. So May 18th, it is not anywhere near this warm the rest of this week. That's all right. But other things here, this is a weather person's dream right here. A weather person would tell you, hey, do you see how hot it is and how close all these zones are and then how cold it is back here? That tells me that's a giant cold front running like that. There's a giant cold front. They would map it out better than I would. But right here along those bars, there's a cold front sweeping across there. So anyway, and by the way, surface temperatures, Fahrenheit, know what you're reading. We are not going to have time to touch climate changes here. But I want you to think of one thing. I'm not a climatologist. You're not a climatologist. Frank on the internet, on his blog post, he's not a climatologist either. Okay? We're going to listen to some experts, but I want you to think about a simple thing first. If you've ever heard any of the things on climate change, they talk about 2 degrees Celsius. 2 degrees Celsius is we've got to stop this, that, and the other before 2 degrees Celsius, the global average temperature. There's a giant math problem on the front end of this to get. When you say the globe's temperature, do you mean in July or in September? Do you mean over land? Do you mean the daily highs or the daily lows? Do you mean the average temperature over the day? Do I just take the high and the low and average those, or do I like take temperature every hour and then average all of those? Do I take it over the land or over the water? At the surface or up on top of a mountain? When you say the temperature of Earth, make sure you're comparing apples to apples, and make sure the person you know you should or should not be listening to said person, because this is one day, one high temperature, surface temperature. It's stated right there. Read your graphs, read your charts, and it's something we got to take care of. We got to protect ourselves and be good to the environment. All right? And we're going to let it there because we don't have more time this year to discuss it. And maybe if we were in person, we could actually, have dialogue and discuss and not just voice on the other end here speaking. But we'll go from there. Make sure, just pay attention to your sources. That's what I was wanting to do. So now let's talk about these temperature controls that aren't just latitude. See, everything we were looking at before, all those tabs I've gotten rid of, all just show, hey, it's cold at the poles and it's warm at the equator. What about some of the other stuff? So we are going to glance. Here is Vancouver. Here is Winnipeg. That is a beautiful 25-hour drive across the Trans-Canadian Highway, or a really, really cheap flight for going cross-country. I mean, I guess it's not cross-country. It's only halfway across. But Vancouver is on the coast, right on a body of water, in fact. Winnipeg is not. Let's look over here. By the way, if you were in class, if we had time to talk, I would tell you all sorts of stuff about Wolfram Alpha and how to use this really awesome website. It is not a search engine. It doesn't go looking for things. It's a calculation engine. It knows things, like it has databases and it knows things. And when you search, it actually computes, it does math and gives you an answer. So anyway, I would tell you some awesome stuff. But so I just typed weather, Vancouver and Winnipeg, and I gave it a random year. Now, here's what's nice about this. It tells you what it assumes, that Winnipeg is a city. I could choose Winnipeg Lake, or I could Vancouver, Canada. Well, I could use Vancouver in the United States also. So what it thinks I typed in, I want the weather in Vancouver in 95, and I want the weather in Winnipeg in 95. In Fahrenheit, the low temperature was 19 in Vancouver. It was negative 35 in Winnipeg. All right, this graph, I can't zoom in on with all the stuff going on my screen without the pro account on Wolfram. But first of all, you can see it shows day by day, and it shows a full year worth here. Okay? But you've got high, low, high, low, high, low, all the way. But anyway, pink, purple line, this purple line is very cold in the winter. Actually, just as warm, if not a little warmer in the summer, and then cold in the winter. Vancouver, it's not flat, but these are, by the way, daily means, the daily average temperature. If I want to show the year, if I want to show over 5 years, check this out. So over 5 years, it's thinking. It's like, oh, I remember the weather from those 5 years. And, oh, it's going to choke because I'm, filming and I'm stalling right now. Here's the thing. Ocean, water, takes a lot of energy to heat up, and a lot of energy has to go away for it to cool down. It levels everything out. If you looked up the temperature, in fact, we're going to do this. We're going to look up the temperature in Hawaii in a minute. It's 65 to 85 all day, every day. Like, that's it. Okay, so in the winter, the lows will be 60 and the highs will be 80. In the summer, the lows will be 65 and the highs will be 85, 88, right? That's it. That's the entire year's variation because it's in the middle of the ocean. Okay, so this is not going to reload. That's okay. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, that's cold, that's warm, but Winnipeg went through crazy extremes. By the way, since I typed weather, it shows me precipitation, it shows me humidity, it shows me pressure, it shows me wind speed, it shows me lots of things going on. And it's not going to choke on that. All right. So, in other words, the one by the ocean, but we know this. When you hear the crazy cold stories in the middle of winter, it's not Seattle and Portland. It's up here in Minnesota and North Dakota. Bismarck, North Dakota this area is so much colder in the winter because it doesn't have this giant Pacific Ocean over here leveling it out. All right. So there's one. Did it load? No, not going to load. All right. Let's check another. Eureka, California to New York, New York. That's a 48-hour drive. Didn't know that. But anyway, and a much, much more expensive flight, like 10 times more expensive than that one. But, okay, let's make this easy. Let's do 2 oceans. Let's pick 2 cities that are both on the ocean and see what we get. So, Eureka, California, New York, and I picked a different year, 2018. Eureka is 27 to 77. New York definitely got colder and definitely got hotter. What? But they're both on the ocean. Here's the difference. Wind blows this way. So the wind, this is a windward coast because the wind blows off the water onto the land. This is a leeward coast because the wind blows off the land onto the water. And so, yes, the ocean out here moderates these temperatures, but not nearly as much as the west coast. So, water versus land, check. Wind direction, windward coast, leeward coast, check. Big differences. And you could come in here and you could see that New York, colder, hotter, Eureka, I'm not going to call that flat, but lots of different humidities, pressures, wind speeds. Okay. Ready? Oh, here we go. Got to rotate. I'm trying to do something in 3D. All right. We've got Seattle to Spokane. Um, why am I trying to do it in 3D? Because I want to show you that, right? Um, let's zoom out a second. These are the Cascade Mountains. You don't drive up and over this peak here to go straight across. You drive through this gap and down into the valley and then across the valley. So, what do we have from Seattle to Spokane? Not that far apart, but this mountain, it just went back to 2D. That's all right. This mountain range right here is going to change the weather. Seattle's on the coast. I picked 2001. Seattle, much, much more moderate. Not as cold, not as hot. Spokane had a hot summer that year. 101. 101 right there for a peak. And 11, not crazy, for the low. All right. This mountain range blocks some of the moderating effect of the ocean. Okay. So we've got coast and land. We've got wind on the coast. We've got using other geography to block and inhibit. Now, you're getting there. Quito and Guayaquil in Ecuador. What's the difference? Let's zoom out here. 50-minute flight. It's nothing. It's not that far. You can see down here, there's 50 miles. All right. It's 400 kilometers by car. But you're zigzagging. It's a long way by car, sounds like. Now, what are we talking about here? What's really going on here? Both near the coast. By the way, Ecuador, here we are on northern South America, right? So we've got lots going on here. Guayaquil, down on the coast. Quito, up in the mountains. And let's check the weather in 2015 for these two spots. Both fairly flat. But I'm telling you, down on the coast is significantly warmer than up on the mountain. That's it. Altitude has an effect. We have seen now the effects of all of these things they're all different temperature controls. All right. Last thing for the day. Albedo. All right. Albedo is a fraction. It's a percentage, really. It's a reflection. The moon has a high albedo. Here's our chart right here. Albedo is how much of the sun's light coming in gets reflected back out. If you're over snow, lots of it gets reflected back out. If you've got big, white, fluffy clouds, lots of it gets reflected back out. If you're over sand, 40%. If you're over wet dirt, right, dark soil, savanna, forest, meadows, over a forest, it's green. Those trees are absorbing that light. They're not reflecting that light back out. This also works in reverse, because if you have clouds at night, heat is coming off the land, its radiation is reflected back down, and you can keep warm at night with cloud cover. So albedo is just this fraction of sunlight being reflected back out, or heat being reflected back out. That's it for today. We're winding up the atmosphere and some of the big picture stuff of Earth. Everybody have a beautiful, great day.